We are at peace with the imbalance.
Yes.
And I know, because you and I are same day, and we're Libras. We live for that balance. So this was like this concept of being okay with it being out of balance really opened the door to accepting like, because I never realized how much of my life I was doing that and being stopped by that it wasn't in my mind that way already. Like, so
Yes.
I am at peace. We are at peace with the imbalance.
Yeah. That is absolutely perfect. That we are real. We are responsible for our own frequency.
And it's now okay to really start thinking about what we want in our lives moving forward, like what we want with this new space that we have available to us.
Yeah.
And how do we use it to create the new earth?
Where I am is a very beautiful space. Like I got a message several weeks ago. We need to share this energy all over the world. We need to get together in a group and help disperse some of the fear that is hanging out. That's just a message I got. So boom, and within 10 minutes, I looked at my calendar. I said, okay, 5 o'clock Monday, I'm open. So I'll have people come over at 6. We'll do a fire. We'll do some breath work. We'll do some prayer work. We'll do whatever shows up to do.
Mm-hmm.
And people showed up.
Yep.
Then I got another message about the last full moon. I'm like, oh, this is really big energy. Things are open. We can also be supportive to a lot of people. And I decided to do a despacho. And literally, this was 5 days before I was going to do it. And I'm like, I want to do a despacho ceremony, a fire ceremony, and maybe some breath work in the middle of that. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to look. I invited people. The weather turned out beautiful, and it's a good thing because some of them didn't tell me they were coming. And some people had already canceled, so I thought maybe I would have 7 or 8 people. I had 15 show up, so that wouldn't have been possible inside with things going on right now.
Yeah.
And we were all outside. People were real with themselves. If they wanted to wear a mask, they wore a mask. However far away they wanted to sit from everybody else, they did. Everybody listened to their own guidance and went with the flow, and the energy was so big and beautiful. So, but I didn't overthink it. I could have overthought it and it could have felt challenging, but it's just like, no, I was told to do it, so boom, did it. And then I've got some other things going that way. And it's just, it's doing what presents now and knowing that that will lead me to the bigger picture in the future. But I'm not really connected or worried about where the future is or what it's going to look like. I just know how I want to feel in the future.
Which is what you're feeling now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which
exactly.
kind of makes that irrelevant.
Yes.
Me. Because I know if I'm feeling that way now, I know that that's what that's going to look like, or expanded, or even better. Like, my life looks better today than I ever dreamed it would ever look, period. So, like, why wouldn't that be that way too? And I'm also not exerting my energy out into the future and creating anxiety for myself in the moment. I just stay clear, and frankly, I don't give a shit about any of that anymore. Like, I don't.
Right.
There was like, for me, I don't know that this is true or not. Like, I don't know that it's true. I only know that it's what I feel.
Yes.
What I sense is that we, like, what we just went through here in the United States with the election, that I'm not talking about either side. That's not about what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there was something in it where before this moment, and I'll remember what that moment was in just a second. I can't remember the red hot minute, but like there was this moment while this transition was happening that I was clear that we were on a timeline that I thought was going to go a certain, like it was pulling that way. And I didn't know that we were going to exit that. But there was a moment in there where I really became clear that we had literally switched timelines. And the timeline that we were going into was one, and I'm clear, like, it's not the hokey shit that I thought it was. It is not the hokey shit that I thought it was. It's not that. But it's a space where we can all, like, come together. It's like, you don't have to think like me and I don't have to think like you, but we can still connect and be our authentic selves without having to believe the same shit. Like that was this big aha that I knew we had shifted where we were going to reinvent human being. We were going to reinvent what it looked like to be a human being. And it didn't look what I thought it looked like. But I was open and I was excited. Just this feeling of having to change someone outside just disappeared. And not that there's any like truth out there because it's all relevant to us, right. But I just had a feeling that I definitely know like the out and out lies, like that shit is like, it doesn't do anything. It just destroys. And it's like the energy of, staying true to us brings more love and joy and happiness into the world and creation. So I'll look at it like this, like it's destroying or it's creating. And I just felt this shift to it's creating, and we can also create this together independent of what we thought of each other from the past. There was just this distinct line in the sand that opened up. And I still feel that way, that literally happened. Yes. Like I've been in my life where I have friends that I know that had a checkout point on this planet and lived past that checkout point, like changed their minds and decided to stay. I know folks like that. I know folks like that. So
yes, do.
That I feel like that happened. I think that's why I recognized it, was that it was planetary this time.
Yes.
Like like the doorway happened and we went through it, and now there's just this opportunity to rediscover who we really are and create this, I don't want to use the word magical, even though it is magical, but real life things that like, when you think something wonderful and you feel it and it shows up in your life. Because that's how it works.
Exactly. Yeah. When you were talking about, it doesn't matter which side or your views, what it really comes down to is we were all shooting out, no matter where you stand, you were shooting out rockets of desire for love and peace and happiness in our life and joy in our life. And even though people had different ideas of how that could happen, it didn't matter. Yeah. We were intending and desiring to feel better on the earth right now. I think every human being was wanting to feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where that timeline felt like it shifted. And for me, during that time when I knew there was so much polarity around, and I thought, it's starting to inch in on me, and I don't want to feel that. That's when I started doing the Malabhi mantra every morning of Om Namah Shivaya, meaning I honor the divine inside. So I was saying that for me and for anyone else who wanted to join in could. It opened up the space so that anybody who wanted to tap into that energy of tapping into their divine inside rather than the humanness, even though we are all still human, there's going to be human pieces, but to really honor that divine and tap into that feeling was magical for me.
Yeah.
It just shifted that piece so that the polarities didn't matter. The polarities around didn't matter.
Didn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you found that peace shifted for you? Like what I thought it was, and now what I know I'm experiencing that peace, meaning I know all is well.
Yes.
I know all is well.
Yes.
Like before, I also knew that people that had opposing views or people in our lives and our relationships that bug the shit out of us, like that, that like really get under our skin, are really, those are pre-designed, pre-agreed to relationships that came here. It's like, I'm gonna wear this mask for you and you're gonna wear this one for me and we're gonna have this thing and we're gonna grow from it. Yay, let's go. Like, I know that, but living it, that's a different thing. That's a different thing. Like, you can know that as a concept, but like your experience is not that. Something shifted where my experience of peace transformed, and it's not the ashram peace thing that we had a mental construct of. It's walking around in daily life and being
no matter what's going on,
no matter what's happening, and that's peace. Like, that's peace, and like staying centered is peace, and accepting like the imbalance, like in accepting all of it. Like I cannot tell you what that's provided for my experience of life in the past couple of months, because it's been, my business has just exploded. My relationships are great. I have no there's none of it. It's just all disappeared from these simple shifts of my own perception.
Well, I think I started moving into it when I went through other challenges in my family with my children. However, it's been growing and moving with the energy all along. Another big time for me when I was taking care of my mother as she was getting ready to cross over was a big opening of being in that space. And because as much as you miss this person, there's also this intense joy and peace around what's going on that for a long time I couldn't really share that feeling with very many people because they didn't understand what I was saying. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences I ever had in my life to go through that and to feel so peaceful for her and know that this was truly the best thing for her.
Yeah.
And I could feel that in me, not as a part of her, just as the reality that death can be a beautiful thing. And a lot of people have a hard time getting there, and that's okay. And that's the other beautiful thing that's come up now, is seeing that everybody's growing and shifting and changing in their own way. Even if they're having to go through some anger pieces, if they're having to go through some really frustrating times, it's really all growth and forward movement. And it feels really good to be able to see that no matter where everyone is.
And things make sense to me now. Like, it's even in all of this chaos, it still makes sense to me that this is happening exactly the way that it's supposed to happen. Like take for instance for us, like we we didn't know this was going to happen, and we were like, you know, you were doing your thing, we were doing our thing, but we were doing the podcast together, and we started it, and we were in love with it, and it was like going like crazy, and then all of a sudden, boom, like in a week, we couldn't even, actually the day we were planning to recording, the day everything sort of shut down, and we just sort of, you know, it wasn't right to continue with everything. We had to be with it, even though I still wanted to do it. But what it did was it forced me to learn how to get this sort of setup that we could do this, you know, how we're doing it now. So that I just wanted to bring folks, like, have a sense of our journey during this space and where we see the podcast moving going forward, like from your perspective, like, because we haven't really talked about that. If we never did anything else from this day forward except for that, that would be totally worth it.
Yes,
because
absolutely.